Hi, wherever you're listening to this, I hope you're doing well. Welcome to India Tech Report, a platform dedicated to chronicling and supporting the growth of India's deep tech and climate tech ecosystems. I'm Hari Arakli, and this is a news brief, so let's get started. Microsoft issued a clarification after reports earlier this month that it had informed carbon credit developers of a temporary halt in new purchases. That news, reported first by Heatmap, had caused immediate ripples in the carbon removal sector, as Microsoft has been the market's dominant force, representing roughly 90% of global durable carbon removal purchases in 2025. Microsoft Chief Sustainability Officer Melanie Nakagawa clarified that the carbon removal program has not ended, according to reports including those from ESG Dive and ESG Today. The company remains committed to its goal of becoming carbon negative by 2030. Existing multi-year contracts, including a recent 15-year deal for 626,000 tons of credit from a bioenergy project, remain active, according to various news reports. Nuclear energy startup X-Energy has officially launched its investor roadshow, filing for an initial public offering to raise up to $800 million, TechCrunch reports. The Maryland-based company is targeting a valuation of approximately $7.5 billion, with shares priced between $16 and $19. X-Energy specializes in small modular reactors using high-temperature gas-cooled technology and proprietary TRISO fuel. TRISO is TRISO. This move comes as tech giants seek carbon-free energy to power massive AI data centers. Amazon, the company's primary backer, previously led a $500 million funding round and has committed to purchasing 5 gigawatts of power by 2039. Inertia Enterprises has signed a landmark strategic partnership with Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory to transition experimental fusion science into a commercial energy source. The collaboration includes a licensing agreement for nearly 200 patents and joint research focused on scaling the laser-driven technology used to achieve ignition at the National Ignition Facility. Following a massive $450 million Series A funding round, the San Francisco-based startup aims to develop Thunderwall, a grid-scale laser system capable of firing 10 times per second. Unlike magnetic fusion approaches, Inertia uses high-powered lasers to compress fuel pellets, a method proven to produce net energy gain. The partnership combines the expertise of co-founder Dr. Annie Kritcher, the lead designer of the National Laboratory's historic 2022 fusion milestone. By combining federal research with private capital, Inertia plans to build the first-ever fusion target manufacturing plant and eventually a gigawatt-scale power plant to provide carbon-free baseload energy. Ascend Elements, a leading U.S. battery recycling startup, has officially filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection, MLQ.ai reports. Despite raising over $500 million from high-profile investors like Honda and SK On, the company faced insurmountable financial pressure from plummeting lithium-ion material prices and significant construction delays at its primary facilities. A key factor in the filing was the U.S. Department of Energy's decision to discontinue a $316 million grant, leaving a $100 million funding gap. CEO Lynn Austin described the move as a court-supervised framework to restructure approximately $103 million in debt and $145 million in contractor liens while maintaining normal operations. The Massachusetts-based company intends to continue production at its Georgia plant and complete its flagship Kentucky facility. By resetting its balance sheet, Ascend Elements aims to emerge as a leaner entity capable of competing against low-cost overseas imports in the vital EV supply chain. The U.S. Department of Energy has reversed its decision to cancel funding for major climate initiatives, restoring support for carbon direct air capture, projects previously awarded under the Biden administration, World Energy News reports. The move, confirmed in a report to Congress, ensures that nearly 2,000 projects will retain their funding after a period of intense review by the current administration. A primary beneficiary of this restoration is the $1.2 billion allocated for two major direct air capture hubs, the South Texas DAC hub and Louisiana's Project Cypress. These facilities are designed to remove over 2 million metric tons of carbon dioxide from the atmosphere annually. The Indian government has formally rescinded its offer to host the 33rd United Nations Climate Change Conference, COP33, in 2028, Reuters reports. Ministry of External Affairs spokesperson Randhir Jaiswal confirmed the withdrawal after a press briefing on Friday last, stating that several issues were considered following a review of the country's commitments for that year. Prime Minister Narendra Modi had proposed in 2023 to bring the global negotiations to India. Despite the withdrawal, officials emphasized that India remains fully committed to its green agenda and the Paris Agreement. India's exit leaves South Korea as the primary remaining contender for the Asia-Pacific region to host the high-stakes summit. India's own efforts continue to meet its target of hitting net zero by 2070. The Indian government has drafted a comprehensive national steel policy roadmap aiming to double the nation's crude steel capacity to 400 million tons by 2035-36, an expansion that will be paired with a mandatory 25% reduction in carbon emissions intensity, Reuters reported earlier this month, citing internal documents it had reviewed and recent ministry briefings at the Bharat Steel 2026 summit. To meet these targets, the Ministry of Steel plans to lower emissions from the current 2.65 tons of CO2 per ton of steel to 2 tons. The strategy focuses on transitioning from coal-heavy processes to gas-based steelmaking, increasing scrap utilization, and integrating green hydrogen. This $183 billion industrial overhaul is designed to counter global pressures like the EU's carbon border taxes, while securing India's role as the world's second largest producer, according to the report. To end today's briefing, international shareholders of the World Bank, led by France, are urgently seeking ways to maintain the lender's climate change financing strategy after its official expiration in June, Reuters reports. French Development Minister Nakagawa stated during the IMF World Bank spring meetings in Washington that letting the current action plan lapse is unacceptable, according to the report. The push comes as the Trump administration demands the bank abandon its target of devoting 45% of annual lending to climate-related projects, urging a return to fossil fuel financing. U.S. Treasury officials have labeled existing climate targets distortionary, advocating for a shift toward core development instead. Despite U.S. opposition, a majority of board members reportedly support continued climate engagement. Nakagawa emphasized that demand for green projects such as solar energy and flood-resistant infrastructure remains high in developing nations. France intends to champion the preservation of Paris Agreement goals during its upcoming G7 presidency to ensure climate resilience remains a global priority, according to the Reuters report. That's it for today. You can find the links to all the headlines in the show notes wherever you get your podcasts. To support my work, please subscribe to my posts at indiatechreport.in. I'm Hari Arakli. Thank you for joining me.